Hello everyone, welcome back to our video class here at CSEC Math Tutor. We are still on consumer arithmetic and our topic for today is currency exchange. We have three objectives. The first one is to define currency. The second, to define what we mean by the buying and selling rate, and to convert one currency to another. To accomplish our third objective, we are going to look at three different CXC questions that will give us a wide view of the types of questions that CXC tends to send, and will give you a pretty much idea of how to go about solving them. So first, let's talk about what currency is. Currency, as some of you would know already, is a medium of exchange for goods and services. And it's generally money that is in the form of paper, coins, and papers and coins. Generally, that's what we mean by currency. On another side, though, countries give different names to their monies, and so we have the US dollar, we have the yen, for example, and so different countries have different names. And so when we talk about all those monies together in a general term, we often use the word currency to describe that as well. So we may say the Jamaican currency, or we may say the currency of the world. All right. And just a bit of information here, that currencies do tend to fluctuate with regard to each other in terms of value. And this particular fluctuation results in a career move that some people make called currency traders. So if you're the type of person who likes to trade and to manage risk and to, if you're patient and you want to get into currency trading, then it's something that you have to be patient with, but it can pay off. Many people do it. Then persons use the fluctuations in currency to trade, and so they will buy currencies and sell them back in order to gain a profit. Now, the price that you pay for currency, if you want it, or the price that you're willing to give it up for, are what we call the buying and the selling rates. I'm going to give you an idea of that in a moment, looking at a chart. So let's look at the chart. Here we have, this was taken from May 10th, from the Bank of Jamaica and Bank of Jamaica's website, just a sample of the different currencies that were on sale, their buying and selling rates. So you up here, notice you will see buy, and in this column you will see sell. And what buy means is that if you as a person goes to the bank and you want to get some, for example, say you want to get some Canadian dollars, if you go there to get Canadian dollars, then you're going to be paying $126 roughly for one. So the selling rate is the rate at which the bank sells you the currency. All right. So when we say selling rate, it's the rate at which the bank is willing to give you the currency for. So you would buy it from the bank for this. Now the buying rate is the rate at which the bank takes it from you. So if you go to the bank with $100 Canadian and you want to exchange it, the bank will buy it from you. So we define buying rate in terms of the amount of money the bank is willing to pay you for your foreign money, and we define selling rate as the rate at which the bank is willing to sell you the foreign money for if you want it. So that's what we mean by buying and selling rates. You can also look at a few. Notice here that the selling rate is always higher than the buying rate, in which case the bank makes money from you all the time. Look at the Cayman dollar, for example, $181.22 here for the buying rate, and the selling rate is 185. The selling rate is always higher. Look at the euro also, 183, and here 184. And I should say this is in relation to the Jamaican dollar. So all of these is, if you want to change 100 euros, for example, you would get $183.87 Jamaican for one. And if you want to get some euros from the bank, you'd have to pay $184.82 roughly for one. So that's what we mean by the buying and selling rate. Now let's look at some questions that we can use to understand how CXC goes about dealing with buying and selling rates. Now, it is important to remember that for CXC purposes, CXC uses one rate. So notice here that we have two rates. We have a buying rate and a selling rate, which are two different numbers. But for CXC questions, the buying rate is also the selling rate. So there's just one rate. The buying rate is the selling rate. No difference in them when it comes to the exam questions. In the real world, there are two different numbers: buying rate, selling rate. For CXC questions and for exams, the buying rate is the selling rate. All right, so let's start with this question. Since it's a Caribbean exam that we do, then you notice that we're going to be using Caribbean dollars. And since all of us trade in US dollars, then we're going to be using US dollars as well. So GUY, that's the Guyanese dollar. One Guyanese dollar is equal to 1 cent US. And here we have another rate. 1 EC dollar, that's Eastern Caribbean, is equal to 37 cents US. We are asked to calculate two things. We want to change 60,000 Guyanese dollars to US dollars. And notice we have a rate for each $1 that you change in Guyanese dollar, you get 1 cent. 1 cent US. So the thing to remember here is that for currency exchange, you will either be multiplying or dividing. There's no addition or subtraction anywhere in this topic. So either you will be multiplying or you will be dividing. And notice here, since we are exchanging 1 Guyanese dollar and getting 1 cent, then if you're going to exchange 60,000 Guyanese dollars, then you should be getting 60,000 1 cents, which means that we're going to be multiplying. So what we're going to be doing here is 60,000 multiplied by 0.01. And when you punch that into your calculator, what it will tell you is that you will get approximately $600. That's a 600, not 600 US dollars. All right, that's the first part. Second part says we are to change US $925 to EC. Notice that the rate here is given from EC to US. So if you're changing 1 EC dollar, you're getting 37 cents US. Now I'm going to put up a little equation here. So EC $1 is equal to US dollar 0.37. So the question is, how much does 1 US dollar value? To do that, we can simply divide by 0.37 here, because it is an equation. So we can say now that 1 US dollar, so US dollar 1 is equal to EC dollar 1 divided by 0.37. So if we're going to change $925 in US to EC, for every $1 we change, we're going to be getting this. So $925 would simply mean 925 times 1 over 0.37, which tells us that we could have accomplished it by just saying 925 divided by 0.37. But I wanted to go through that just to show you why we actually divide in this case. So 925 divided by 0.37, you punch that into your calculator, and it will tell you that the amount of EC dollars that you get would be 2,500. So these questions come up on your paper too mostly, but they do come up on the multiple choice paper as well. So you should be aware that they appear on both papers. Second question, BDS dollars means Barbados dollars, and EC, we remember Eastern Caribbean dollars. So Karen exchanged 2,000 Barbados dollars and received $2,700 EC. We have to calculate the rate of 1 Barbados dollar in EC dollars. So notice that we're not given the exchange rate here. We're just told that she exchanged this and this is what she got. So let's find how much 1 Barbadian dollar is worth in terms of EC. And what we're going to be doing now is just to, let's write it out first. So BDS 2000 is equal to EC 2,700. Now, since we want one Barbadian dollar, it makes sense to divide this by 2,000. Now, 2,000 to 2,000 goes one time. So Barbados BDS $1 is going to be equal to $2,700 EC divided by 2,000. And once we run that calculation, type it in your calculator, you're going to get $1.35. So the rate, part one, whoever used the Cambio or the bank, she would have received $1.35 EC for each of the Barbadian dollars that she exchanged. Now, the second part of the question is saying if Karen exchanged $432 EC for Barbadian dollars and calculate the amount of Barbadian dollars that she would receive. Now, let's look at this equation. Notice here that when you're changing from Barbadian dollars to EC dollars, your money is getting more. It's getting, you're getting more, you get a larger value on this side. So 1 here gives you 1.35 on this side. If you're going to be changing it in the opposite direction, so Carnix is exchanging 432 EC, and you want to see how many Barbadian dollars she's going to get. Notice here that when you exchange a Barbadian, you got more in EC. So the logical thing is, if you're going to exchange 2,700 EC, notice that you're going to get a small amount in Barbadian. No, same thing here. So if you're going to exchange a EC 432, you expect to get a smaller number than 432 when you change it to Barbadian dollars based on the rate. So that again can tell you that you should divide. So we're going to divide 432 divided by the rate for 1, and the rate is $1.35. And when you divide your 432 by $1.35, you end up with $320 in terms of Barbadian dollars. So let's write that out properly. BDS dollars, 320. All right, that's our second question. So the questions typically look like that. Let's look at another one though. And this one has an interesting twist to it, where we have, here we have two rates. We have the US rate, US to EC is $2.70. So for every 1 US, we get $2.70 EC. And for every 1 TT, which is Trinidad and Tobago dollars, we get EC 0.40. All right. Remember, these are not regular rates. These are just made for the question, and some of these are ancient. But the idea is that you can still work with the question and learn how to convert it. So here we want to see how much 1 EC is worth in terms of Trinidad and Tobago dollars. So EC, Trinidad, let's start with this one. Now, if you exchange 1 Trinidad dollar to EC dollar, then what you get is 40 cents. So if you want 1 EC dollar, then let's divide this by 0.40, which is 40 cents. And it will tell you now, that will give you 1. So EC dollar, 1 divided by 0.4 is going to give you TT dollar, 2.5. All right. So for every 1 EC dollar you exchange, you end up with $2.50 Trinidad dollars. That's part 1 of the question. Let's look at part 2 of the question. Part 2 of the question says change 80 US to EC. Now, this is an easy one. So for every 1 US dollar you change, you get $2.70 EC. So all that we need to do there is to multiply. So we're just going to multiply our 80 US dollars by $2.70. And you should get, in terms of EC dollars, 80 times $2.70 gives you $216. All right, and now we go to our third part of our question. And the third part of our question, we want to change $648 in Trinidad dollars to US dollars. So we want to change 648 Trinidad dollars to US dollars. Notice in your table though that you are not given a direct rate between Trinidad dollars and EC dollars. We have an exchange rate between US and EC, and an exchange rate between Trinidad dollars and EC dollars, but there's no direct rate between Trinidad dollars and US dollars. So what we need to do then, since we want to change from Trinidad dollars to US dollars, is that we have to go through the EC currency. So what we're going to be doing is change the TT dollars to EC dollars, and then we change the EC dollars to US dollars. And following this chain will actually help us to change the Trinidad and Tobago money to US currency. And this happens from time to time. So in the real world, actually. So let's look at our $648. Now we want to change it first to EC. So we have a rate for each Trinidad dollar that you change, you get 40 cents EC. All right. So if we change 648 Trinidad dollars, you expect to get 648 times 0.4, that is times 40 cents. And when you multiply that out, you are going to get, punch it into your calculator, you're going to get $259.20. And this money is in EC. Okay? Now that we have this $648 in EC, we are now going to try to change this EC now to US dollars, and we have a rate for that. Notice that we had a rate. One EC dollar gives you $2. One here we have it actually up here. One US dollar is $2.70 in EC. So we have 259 EC dollars, and we want to change it to US. So we need to divide this money by $2.70. So we start with our $259.20, and we divide it by $2.70. And once you divide that out, it tells you that the amount of US dollars that you will receive is 96. So the question, change $648 in TT dollars to US dollars, is actually $648 in TT gives us US dollar 96. And that is the end of our questions. I hope it would have given you some insight as to how to go about answering these kind of questions on your CXC exam. Hopefully when you see them, you'll be able to manage them. And remember to go over to csecmathtutor.com to find practice questions. Remember to subscribe. Remember to share with somebody who is preparing for exam. And best wishes as you continue preparing.